Yesterday's FOMC was probably the first time in a long time that I actually looked at the screen multiple times and just was like, what the f***? I've been trading fundamentals for 5 years and I've traded every single Federal Reserve interest rate decision. And this was by far the first one that I've seen something like this happen. When the Feds announced their decision, the markets did something that made absolutely no sense. It pushed up. Nas is pushing up. Make sure I'm reading this right because everything is higher and that doesn't make as much sense. And in this video, I'm going to show you how we didn't get caught by the trap. We waited patiently and took the real trade as the markets came back down. I'm focusing on Nas here, but you can look at US 30, SP 500, same thing, US indices. There are some differences, but that's not for this video. Going into the meeting, we were already having a ton of bearish pressure, which you can see here. Nas was already dropping. Now, typically, Nas usually just kind of consolidates, gold consolidates, because generally speaking, the markets are just waiting for the rate decision, and that's when buyers and sellers come into the markets. We have two really big risks right now while we're trading. For me, I love trading economic data. I love trading the news, rate decisions. It's very easy to me. The trade wars, the tariffs, the geopolitical tensions between Israel and Iran, all of this stuff can happen at the exact same time that some data is coming out or something like that, right? And this is a perfect example. Coming into the meeting, we were already having a lot of bearish pressure and volume on Nas because of escalating geopolitical headlines about missile strikes. So now we're less than about 10, 20 minutes away from the Federal Reserve's rate decision, and we've just had this massive spike and reversal on Nas and a ton of volume coming in, which isn't normal. And this market fear was bad for Nas, so that's why it dropped. Then at 2 p.m. Eastern, the Federal Reserve released their interest rate decision, and the dot plot was released higher than previous. So now this gave me a second fundamental reason to be looking for NASDAQ to drop. If you watch my analysis video that I posted about FOMC before it even came out, I explained all of that in detail. So with all these bearish signs for Nas, I would ask you what you think NASDAQ did, but I've already foreshadowed it. Instead of just doing like a chart replay, I'll show you the recording of me trading live with Day Trading University when the rate decision came out. 3, 2, 1. Same, above expected. Prior's 3.4, we're at 3.6 here. Yeah, it's higher. Nas is pushing up. Make sure I'm reading this right. 3.9 and 3.9. You can see through here, 3.4. Previous was 3.1, so that's higher. 3.6. Previous was 3.4. That's because everything is higher. And that doesn't make as much sense to me. So why does a spike up like this happen if I'm not expecting it to go up? Some people will call it a liquidity grab, a stop loss hunt. They'll say they're collecting market orders or something like that. I don't know. And I don't care to know. All I know is that the dot plot came out higher. We have geopolitical tensions escalating. To me, it makes sense to be looking for NASDAQ to drop. And unless if something happens that changes my bias, I don't care that Nas is pushing up. I'm gonna wait to see what happens. And in this case, like most, it was the perfect thing to do. If you take a look at Nas here, we can see the spike that we had up. Now I have to show you the recording because this happened all in one candle. You can even see my entry. I entered in this same candle as it pushed back down because I was looking for sells. And this is why I said not to take the buys. It feels risky, but apparently it's still an open candle. And I don't like that it spiked up, but I'm gonna take a stab at sells here. Kind of wanted to enter up here, but I wanted to wait for this candle to flip. So when I was in this trade, I ended up going break even when it hit this support down here. And unfortunately, this next candle took me at break even. The reason I went break even on this trade is because I was actually expecting it to drop more, which I'll show you what it did later in the day because we have two other things that happened, which really messed with Nas. So this first trade that I took ended up being break even, but I'm not changing my bias and I'm still looking for sells on Nas. So if we play this out a little bit, I wasn't really seeing what I wanted to see for price action on Nas until right here. And this is where I re-entered my trade on sells. Here's a screenshot of the trade that I had sent inside Day Trading University, so we can push this over and see the same trade right here. And then if we play this out a little bit, we'll see that it still dropped quite a bit more. So the sells finally ended up playing out. It was just a matter of having patience, not switching the bias and looking for buys here because it looks like it's gonna push up. Fundamentally, at this point, it makes more sense for Nas to drop. But even after we just had missile strikes right before the rate decision, we had a fake out and reversal on Nas, the chaos wasn't done yet. Because while the Federal Reserve was still holding a press conference and answering questions, I ended up seeing headlines from my newsfeed with Trump meeting on Iran and Israel. And then he says, Iran wants to meet. We may do that. This is inside the Discord of Day Trading University. And I'm keeping everyone updated in the trades. You can even see the trade that I took because what he just said could technically be good for NASDAQ. It could be good for the market. So it's like, okay, well, I was in these sells. Based on what the Feds just did, I still want to take sells, but now we just got comments about a potential de-escalation in the Iran-Israel war. So now we have two things that just happened that make me want to look for sells on Nas. I have one thing that happened that made me want to potentially look for buys, which is why if you look right here, you can see I said, I'm going break even. There is way too much going on here. And I was like, this might actually cause the markets to consolidate. We have something that's bearish for Nas and something that's bullish for Nas, meaning something's pressuring it lower, something's pushing it higher. And if you play out Nas for a little bit, this is what we did until volume finally died out. You can join us in Day Trading University. We trade live every single day, New York session, London session, Monday to Friday. You can find the link below in the description and you can sign up for the free trial. And just so you know, when you go to the free trial, if you sign up for this, it will ask you for your card information. That's not me, that's the processor just creating an account. You can cancel at any time. You will not be charged anything, so don't think it's like a fake free trial. You can cancel within the 7 days if you find that Day Trading University isn't the place for you. But I have a feeling that you'll really like it, so I hope to see you there. We did just end up consolidating. NAS should have dropped more if it was nothing else but those missiles that we were getting earlier, and then the rate decision in the dot plot, because both things would be bearish for NAS. And just to prove my point on that, I kind of like that I'm doing this trading recap after the fact, because if we go to, let's say, the 15-minute time frame and we play this out a little bit, what do you think NAS ended up doing for the next 2 days, right? Looking over at NAS today, we just continued to drop. There's no reason to change the bias when the Federal Reserve changes market expectations on interest rates. It's gonna be bearish for NAS. Sometimes you just have to deal with the chop.